There are millions and millions of YouTube videos that you could search for right now on how to train your dog to stop jumping up, stop barking, stop chewing things, stop digging holes. How do I train my dog to come when called, how to settle on their mat, how to walk on a loose leash. There are so many videos that you could search for right now. But the only problem is that you're asking how. You're asking how can I, how do I train my dog to, how do I stop my dog from. Instead of asking how, if you start asking why is my dog performing the behaviour that you're trying to stop or that you find undesirable, then if you start asking why is your dog performing that behaviour in that situation, then you're going to start seeing the reasons why your dog is doing that behaviour. And that can actually include things like the environment. Is it a really noisy environment? Have you got kids running around? So the dog's barking continually and running around with the kids. You can't get your dog to settle and be quiet. Well, how can you expect your dog to be quiet and settle down on their mat when you've got kids running around? The best thing to do is to actually take a step back and go, okay, in order for me to get my dog to stop barking at the kids and rest and settle on their mat, is to start, for one, separating the children and the dog and giving the dog something nice and quiet to do, or getting the children engaged with the dog in a productive way, like a tug-of-war game or playing fetch, and keeping the excitement level of your dog at a reasonable level, not letting your dog get so excited that they're barking out of frustration or overexcitement. So when we're asking ourselves why, then we also see on that tiny little fractal the little branches of other questions and other things that we should be looking at apart from the environment. Who's there? What's happening? Is it busy? Is it quiet? Is your dog bored? Is your dog getting overexcited? But also the emotional state of your dog, which is reflected absolutely by the body language that they're showing us. And when you start understanding your dog's body language, then you can start anticipating what your dog's energy levels, excitement levels, and therefore your dog's emotional state is likely to be in a given situation, an everyday situation. And then you're going to be able to say, well, it's just incompatible for me to ask my dog to sit down and settle on their mat when I've got 3-5-year-olds running around and screaming. It's not fair on the dog, and that's not a productive expenditure of your dog's emotional state and energy levels to just be running around chasing children and barking. Because we can find that in those situations where you don't intervene for your dog and divert your dog away from that situation and separate your children and your dog, and then direct your dog to something stimulating and mentally occupying for that dog, mentally rewarding for your dog. If you don't actually do that, then you'll find that your dog gets better at barking, not just in that situation, but in other situations when they have a similar excitement level or emotional state. They then associate that emotional state with barking and they get better at that behaviour. So it's really important for you to understand why your dog's performing a behaviour in a certain situation. So stop asking how do I get my dog to stop doing this, and start asking why is my dog performing this undesirable behaviour that I don't want to see. You then realise that there's a valid reason for your dog's behaviour, and also not just the environment, not just who's there, not just what's happening, but also how you are responding to your dog when they're doing that behaviour. So going back to the barking dog again, what's the most common reaction that people do when their dog's barking for any length of time? They yell out to the dog to shut up, or they yell their dog's name. Well, from your dog's point of view, that doesn't make any sense. You're just giving them verbal attention, even though your intention is to punish your dog and in order to get them to stop doing that behaviour. From their point of view, attention from you is inadvertently rewarding or increasing the likelihood of that behaviour because it's a response from you. So then you actually may find that your dog learns in that situation that when he barks and when he's excited, then he hears you say, shut up. And that just gets to be a bit of white noise because it's not doing anything to change the circumstance, change your dog's emotional state and change the situation for your dog to something that's more mentally stimulating, mentally rewarding and productive from your dog's point of view. So for this first video in this dog training concepts series, if you like, it's to start asking, why is my dog performing this undesirable behaviour? And then start going through the checklist of what might be happening in the environment. Have you actually taught your dog how to settle on their mat and be quiet? And if you haven't done that, that's probably the first thing that I would actually do is promote calm behaviour in everyday situations for your dog. And that's a pretty easy thing to do. Just think about what you like to do when you want to be nice and calm and settled. You actually like to have things nice and quiet. You probably like to have the lights dimmed. You might put on some quiet music, or you might just like to sit down quietly and read a book without anybody yelling in the background. So if that makes sense to you, then it makes sense to your dog that if you expect them to be quiet, it will make sense in the situation of your dog as well, that if you expect them to be settled and quiet, then sit down with them quietly, give them something to chew on that will last them quite a while, and just have a nice quiet atmosphere for them, and then do that at random times of the day and do that on a regular basis, and your dog will start to learn and associate their mat with quiet time and being settled. So when you're looking at these training videos in future, and when you're getting onto YouTube and you're having a look at how to train your dog to do different things or stop doing particular things, just look at the situation from a different point of view. Why is your dog performing that undesirable behaviour in that situation? Is there any way that the environment's contributing to that undesirable behaviour? Are you contributing to that undesirable behaviour? Are you being consistent and reliable and predictable for your dog? Are you responding in a way that is confusing for your dog? Are you looking at your dog and understanding what their emotional state is, their body language, and putting those things together and realising when you might be asking too much of your dog depending on what their body language and emotional state are reflecting in a situation? So for this video, stop asking how can I stop my dog from doing this? How can I get my dog to do this? Start asking, why is my dog performing this behaviour in this situation? And you'll start finding answers for that question rather than creating problems for your dog.